All right, my friends, welcome to episode 301 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry, the professor at Prof Plays Games on Twitter. Over there is Anthony, the dev at Summer Speak. How you doing before we get into the bullshit?
I know. I'm doing okay. It's
Good.
been a decently relaxing weekend, where part of today was spent on my roof, sweeping off moss.
Oh, I was thinking leaves, but moss, okay.
Yes, Washington State, we get a lot of rain, so moss is actually the big thing on...
So you can
on
sweep
roofs.
it off, huh?
Yeah, it comes off really easily.
Cool.
So just kind of like a thick bristle, like in more industrial type broom, flat, long.
Yeah.
Like you can just push it right off. But I'm still on my roof doing this, and I told my wife, I was like, keep the window open. If you hear me screaming, you know what's happened. Let's...
Crunch.
Yeah. Not up too high, because I'm doing it on my back deck thing, but I'd probably break something if I fell.
How I can't remember how sloped your roof is.
Not super, but it's not like super like A-frame or anything. You can stand on it just fine. I'm not going to tip over, but you're still up there, and you're like, huh, it shouldn't... Good thing that shingles have a lot of traction.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to fall, but man, I'm like 12 feet up if I just rolled off here. So, yeah.
And I'd be doing the podcast alone.
Yes, you'd get a call that I was in the hospital probably.
Yeah,
but
if my wife and I die, the kids are coming toward you. But if you die, then how's that going to work?
Well, my wife's still around, but we have Chain. My in-laws are first on the list for the kids.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Because they'll be responsible.
Yeah, as long as you don't fall on your wife, I guess you'd be okay.
Yeah.
The kids will be okay.
So no, that was just general yard work today. It's summer, it's nice up here, so
yeah,
got to get outside and enjoy the sun a little bit.
Awesome. They say that sunlight is a beautiful disinfectant. Bring out all the dirty stuff into the sun, and it slowly gets cleaned up. Sort of like Activision Blizzard, all the bullshit there. Bring it out in the sunlight, expose it, and hopefully everybody gets fired, in the leadership at least. We talked last week about Activision Blizzard and just the lawsuit levied by the state of California based on unfair, gender discrimination, unfair pay gap, and sexual harassment. This week, more
general
shit has
harassment.
emerged.
Let's be honest. Like,
what'd you say?
General harassment, not even sexual harassment. Like, it's just bad
all around. And this week, more details emerged because the dumpster fire. There's more fuel to burn.
Of course, there is.
God, it's like vile. It's more vile. Like the woman who went to the security conference to inquire about a job at Blizzard, who was wearing a penetration expert T-shirt, because when you talk about hacking into systems, it's called penetration, a pen test. And they asked her if her boyfriend wanted a job at Blizzard, and how does she love penetration, and I forget the exact questions.
Not good. Nothing
not
that
good
recruiters should be saying to anyone inquiring about their company.
Right.
But they're also recruiters are in HR, so I mean, it's not like I would expect anything better out of them.
That's the weird thing, because I'm thinking about the recruiting that my college does, and it's like, some faculty or staff go, but under the direction of HR, like they're in charge of the recruiting.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? You either hired someone who you didn't vet, or you did that. Like, I want to know who the people are, or I want someone to know who those people are.
It's the first one.
That they're in charge.
Just based on experience.
But they didn't vet.
They don't vet.
Yeah.
Based on people that I have met who rotated through recruiting positions that I've been around at times. I won't name names, but in ways you're like, oh my god, why are you here? What do you do? Like, yeah.
You're doing the opposite of recruiting right now.
Yes, pretty much.
Work for you.
Pretty much. So, yeah, that was terrible. That was the company that basically said that employee worked for, that was like, I think Blizzard reached out to them to do some security stuff, and they quoted them with a 50% increase of misogyny tax, that they would donate all that extra 50% of costs to organizations to promote women and young girls in tech.
I fucking love that. I love that company's whole response to this back when it happened in 2017 or whatever, or even earlier, and fucking now, man.
Yeah. Well, like, screw you. Which actually, I would like to see more companies do that. I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, I think the one thing that would probably push more change than anything at Blizzard and other companies like this would be the 3 big publishers not necessarily blacklisting their games coming out, but being like, you don't get to be on stage with us. We're not going to promote your games.
I can see that. That seems like a really logical
Sony's like, we don't want you on our stage. Just go away. Like, we're not going to show a COD trailer. People know it's coming out. Whatever. You don't get to be here with us.
And I think that's part of the problem of this seemingly being Blizzard. Like, Blizzard's at the forefront of this when it's really Activision Blizzard in toto.
Yes.
But it would be easy, I think, for some publishers like Sony or whatever to have a relationship with Activision for Call of Duty and still avoid some of this because it's so focused on Blizzard right now, even though Bobby Kotick is a fuck. This fire pedophile Bobby Kotick sign, I'm here for it on this Kotaku article. But COD makes more money, right? Than God. Like, that's the biggest game there is. So I wonder if anyone would be able to walk away from a partnership with that game.
Yeah, and it's the thing about walking away from the partnership that I'm like, maybe they would and they could, because they're like, I'll be honest, in a capitalistic society, I don't expect Microsoft or Sony to be like, we're not going to put your game out on our system. But I would love to see them just say, like, we are not going to promote your game. You do that. Like, we don't have to help you. And we don't want you standing with us on stage.
Yeah, and that last piece I feel like is the most, I hate using this word out of context, but visceral for people watching. Like, that, to see them standing next to Jalen Brack or fucking Bobby Kotick, like, nope, I'm instantly turned off. Yep. Same thing with Yves Guillemot.
Yep. And there's part of me that wonders if, like, I mean, I think Kostic is the president of Activision. So usually it would be Brack on stage or Kostic on stage, depending on what the presentation. And if, like, next year E3 they're on stage and they just get booed,
I could see that.
And it should happen.
A fucking mobile game, like, they're gonna get booed for this shit.
And they should, and you should make them feel bad, like, and maybe that will actually affect the stock enough, because that seems to be the only thing that would actually make any change, because that's the only thing that made Kotick actually say anything. Was the stock falling 7%, I believe.
Yeah, it's right now. Let's see here. So
it fell 7% in one day, and then that's when he released a statement.
Right, and it's flat for the year. It's at 83.62, and it started the year, it's flat for the whole, like, not calendar year, but like July to July, like, I guess fiscal year or whatever. It's gone up quite a bit. It got to 100 and something near March. Let's see here. February. 103 was the peak. And now it's back down to 83, which is where it was last July. So in a year, it's gone nowhere. But recently, it's dropped quite a bit. And when I'm researching this, I talked to you earlier about this. It talks about institutional investors, because a lot of, like, stability from stocks, like, if Fidelity, for example, owns 60 million shares, like, that's a lot of movement if they drop or, whatever, buy some. Vanguard owns 65 million shares of Activision, and they've gone up 8%. BlackRock has gone down 0.5%. Fidelity's gone down 10%. And a company, or an investment fund called Public Investment Fund, which is based out of Saudi Arabia, has gone up 124% on Activision. So despite all that movement, that stock price has gone down. So Bobby Kotick says, I'm going to put out a letter to my employees on the investor relations page of the Activision Blizzard website.
It's not to the employees, it's to the investors. Let's be honest. Like,
and Jesus Christ,
we should also say Kotick
settled a sexual harassment lawsuit in 2010, right?
Yeah, Kotick also owns 4 million shares. It's himself.
Ah, okay.
So,
well, and he took, like, what was it, like half a half his salary was cut, but then he's going to get
No.
bonuses for stock performance or whatever?
He cut his bonus by half, but it's still $200 million.
Yeah, right.
So you're like, cool, dude. That's great. But I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, Activision Blizzard itself, that entity that exists above Activision and Blizzard as separate companies, is just a dumpster fire of nightmare capitalism, basically.
Well, and you had mentioned off mic the leadership of Activision Blizzard has a ton of, former conservative administration government officials in it.
So let's see. We have, won't get there for Daniel Allegre, President and Chief Operating Officer. He's from Google. And dealt with like setting up Google in Asia and international markets and expansion. So he came to Activision Blizzard in April of 2020. You have Frances F. Townsend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy, she's been having fun tweeting. But this is the weird one to me. She's the Executive Vice President for Corporate Affairs. And before coming to Blizzard, she was Administrative Officer at McAndrew and Forbes. Was a corporate partner with Baker Potts. From 2004 to 2008, she served as Assistant for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism for George W. Bush, chairing the Homeland Security Council during that time period.
So,
why the fuck is this person on the leadership of a video game company and publisher?
Lobbying. The corporate affairs, that's the lobbying person.
Yeah.
She knows government. She can help them lobby the government. End of story.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay, so maybe you gain some benefit from that in some way, but that letter she put out was awful and did way more damage than I think, could gain in PR space. But of course, they're looking at the money space. So
the CFO, Armin Zerza, joined Activision Blizzard in 2015, and he had been leadership experience at Procter & Gamble for a very long time. That seems like where he was at. Yeah, 20 years at Procter & Gamble, and now he's the CFO of Activision Blizzard. Brian Bulato, Chief Administrative Officer. He served in the government under the Secretary of State for Management, and prior to that as Chief Operating Officer at the Central Intelligence Agency.
And maybe it was this
Why
guy.
the hell
one of these
is
guys
he? No, it's not this guy.
Was like
this
super
guy.
outspoken asshole. It might be
Maybe.
that guy. I can't remember the name.
He's a distinguished graduate at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. He went from West Point, private equity industry, joining the CIA, working and then under the Secretary of State for Management, and then Activision Blizzard. Talk about the revolving door here. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
it's very odd.
Grant Dixon, Chief Legal Officer. He was Corporate Secretary of Boeing Company, and then he served as a member of the company's Executive Council, and then prior to Boeing, he served at the White House. Doesn't say which White House. So, actually, this is probably earlier than the current administration. But I don't know when. Probably George W. Bush, I would expect. But he's, again, it's just another person who has worked, is from government. Like, what? I don't know.
Well, and specifically conservative government,
Yeah.
Like, they're really surrounding themselves with a certain class of people who, to be honest, would fight against policies that would stop this shit that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Would fight against unions, which would make people feel safer to speak up and say, hey, I'm being sexually harassed at work, and not worried about losing their job for saying that.
Yeah. You have Claudine Naughton, who was the Chief People Officer, who's pretty much failed.
What is that?
A
people officer?
Yeah. Before
Are we
joining
making up names now for people?
Yes. She spent 20 years at American International Group. Leadership roles over the course of her career, Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer. She oversaw the company's human resources and strategy for 50,000 employees over 80 countries. well, you're doing a shit job here. So
yeah, bang up job, lady. Was that a lady or a dude? I didn't hear the
lady,
name.
Claudine.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Helene Klasky, Chief Comms Officer, Communications. She was the chair of Burson Marstell's U.S. Public Affairs. She had a career at General Electric. She was the Chief Communications Officer for GE for a long time. She has also worked at the U.S. government as Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Treasury Department.
Which one? Doesn't say, does it?
No. U.S. Department of Treasury for Public Affairs and Deputy Assistant of U.S. Trade Representative for Public Affairs.
Doesn't say like who she was undersecretary for? Like Paulson or no?
No, but probably earlier than that because she was at
okay.
She was at GE before coming to Activision Blizzard. So
okay.
Who knows? I mean, I could dig farther and probably find out.
It's fine.
What administrations? And then you have the chief marketing officer, who he served as the chief marketing officer for Restaurant Brands International, where he saw the brand and marketing strategy for the group's portfolio of restaurants that include Burger King, Popeyes, and Tim Hortons.
No.
At RBI, he led campaigns such as the McWhopper, Google Home of the Whopper, Whopper Detour, the Stevenage Challenge, and Moldy Whopper. I'm sorry.
You, I haven't heard of any of those things.
Nope. Before joining RBI, he was at 20 years at Unilever's product categories and brands. Again, I just go through all these people, and I'm like, beyond Kotick, who was the CEO of Activision from 91 to 2008, before this Activision Blizzard company was created.
Yeah.
He's the only one that's been around games. The rest of them haven't done shit with games or publishing or even anything to do with this, which I'm like, right, you're not actually here to make games with this leadership team. You're here to make your stock go up and appease shareholders. Has nothing to do with the games.
It does speak to the philosophy, too, where it says we don't need leadership who understands the product, although they may have a cursory understanding of like what it is in terms of in the its function in the marketplace, but not really like a deep understanding of what makes games tick. But also, that also extends to you don't really need to know who the people are either.
Nope.
There's such obviously in lots of places this is true, but there's such a divide between the understanding of the leadership and the people on the ground. That schism is so huge in all of these reports and these responses, and they're just not responding in a way that's human. Like Kodak's letter, for example, I thought maybe got the closest saying the things that I would want to hear them say, but because Kodak said it, I knew they weren't his words and they were meaningless. And it's going to be interesting, going back to the stock price, their earnings come out on August 3rd, and that call, if they allow questions, like it's going to be pretty interesting.
Oh my God, that's like 2 days.
It is, yeah. It's Tuesday.
Oh shit!
And just lately, just fucking all the stocks that I own, but like earnings have been, this is earnings season for a lot of the stocks I own at least, and like they're all coming out like made huge gains in terms of the money they're making, profit and whatever else, but their stock drops. Anyways. Because of some, like for example, Apple dropped because of we did great this quarter, but we're gonna have fewer iPhones to sell because of the chip shortage, and then boom, the stock price goes down a bit. I wonder if both these things, this dynamic of like socially what's happening plus that normal function of good revenue, but future, forward looking not so rosy, boom, there goes stock price. Like I wonder where this is going to be at the end of the week, because right now again it's at 83.62.
Yeah. I'm expecting it not to be great, I'll be honest, in the end. It's a shit show. So, I mean, that's Kodak's thing and just who's running this. What else did we find out this week? We found out about the Cosby Suite from, I think this was BlizzCon 2013?
2013, exactly. These...
Which, I'm just like, fuck, if you can't. It's one thing to make a joke. You're like, fine, this is joked as the Cosby Suite. But I'm like, if you feel like you're joking that this dude's sweet, you can call it the Cosby Suite. Isn't that a red flag? Isn't that a huge red flag about the person and what's known about them and how they act?
Well, there was like so much like mental gymnastics about like, oh, people didn't know about Cosby in 2013. Is like they fucking did. Like
Yeah, they
it didn't
did.
blow up until a little later, but people knew. And then their explanation of like, oh, it's just because the room was ugly like his sweaters. Ha ha ha. So we called it the Cosby Suite. Like, what's Greg Street, who was in that fucking panel where that woman asked like, could you not dress up characters like they're Victoria's Secret models, and she got ridiculed.
Yeah.
Jalen Brack was on the panel, by the way. But this
Yes,
Greg Street guy was kind of like, it was a bad answer. I wish we wouldn't have done it, yada, yada. And then he's fucking in that photo right next to the Cosby picture. And he works at Riot, too.
Oh, I should actually bring up last week. I think I said like nothing had come to the level where California was suing them. Riot's being sued as well. That happened earlier this year.
California?
Yeah. Same department. They're suing Riot over the same stuff.
New or?
No, it happened in February.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, stuff came out about Riot. I just don't think the overall lawsuit came out publicly. Really, it didn't get a lot of traction because a lot of the fallout with Riot had already happened. But
so it wasn't exactly new news.
It wasn't new news. It's all the stuff that's happened before at Riot. But yeah, they're being sued for the same Department of California.
Well, that's why businesses are leaving California, because you won't let us sexually harass our employees. Like, Jesus Christ, fuck off.
Yeah, so that's a thing. And so, I saw the picture that was like where someone said where all these people were in this picture and stuff. And you're like, yep, they're all still in the game industry for the most part. I think one of them wasn't. But yeah, they usually just float around to different companies.
Right, and to move from Blizzard, like in the height of that shit happening, to Riot in the height of that shit happening, you know?
They're going to hire the same type of people.
You're either drawn to it, you bring it with you, or you don't care about it.
Yeah, you don't care, and you're probably going to places where it's protected.
Right. There's a piece of this Kotaku article that I actually hadn't heard until today, which was the Blizzard devs say men were sexually harassed too. Reports include unwanted shoulder rubs, being propositioned for sex, sexual harassment within their first day, and even a quote-unquote game around the office where men would try to grope one another's genitals. I've always wondered that about baseball, actually. Whenever they do something good, they slap each other's asses. Like, isn't that sexual harassment too at some level?
Could be.
But boy,
I don't know. But yeah, at a place of work, this is not something you want to be dealing with, to be honest.
No, I don't want people touching my dick.
Yeah, I don't even want people trying to. That's not a fun game.
No.
That's not a thing for the workplace.
That's barely a thing for any part of my life, except for one very specific.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, we've partitioned this off. So yeah, it doesn't. That's where I actually agree. I'm like, the whole California lawsuit, there's just huge amounts of harassment around the entire thing. And when you talk about it like men were sexually harassed, it does fully fit into that frat boy kind of culture thing of like the joking kind of thing of like, I'm gonna slap your dick kind of shit. So, which is like, why was this left to fester? And I will say we've had a lot of internal talk at System Era talking about this stuff, because of course this ripples through the entire thing. And I mean, I agree with the one standpoint that people that do this tend to, like, the ones that truly lead this type of harassment, try to get themselves in positions of power and then build structure around them to protect them from repercussions from acting like this. It happens every time.
Yeah.
And that's why people don't come and talk about this. That's why it's left to fester, because the people that want it to happen are allowing it to happen and have created systems to make it happen. So the people accusing can't be like, they break the trust there from the rest of the team with that person. You can't know who to trust on a team, because who knows? They're friends with that person that might be harassing you or harassing other people. So I can't talk to these people because they might bring it to them. Like, you put the people that want to do this will put stuff in place to make it impossible to break it.
Right.
And it's horrible. And I always hear about the people going like, there's got to be some people to speak up. But in systems like that, it truly does become a thing of being like, if I speak up, I don't have a job anymore.
That's
most likely
why they need a fucking union. I know that there's tons of arguments against it, in terms of, and we can talk about this, but thinking about my specific situation at our school where we rose up against the president and demanded that she was fired. And like, it was a months long public campaign that I couldn't have engaged in if I wasn't in a union, because I would have been fired. And interesting thing is, at the beginning of this, my wife was applying for a job there and got into the final round and didn't get it. But if she would have gotten the job, I couldn't have said anything, even though I was in a union, because that president could have fired my wife way more easily than me. So that would have shut me down too. So the people at Activision Blizzard who are suffering this harassment, all the things you just said is totally true. In a union environment, there would be a structure where it would be more likely that they could feel safe speaking up, and it may not actually lead to that, and there may be other types of corruption or issues.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately,
I look at it and I say, that one piece about feeling like you'll get fired if you speak up can be mitigated by unionization. Whether or not that can happen, I mean, you know better than I do in the game.
Yeah, I just don't think it will happen, unfortunately. While I feel like this is binding some of the Activision Blizzard employees together, there's such division in the video game industry itself and people at these companies on if they want to be under a union or not, that it would be hard to get one started. Because I really think to get it started, you're going to need significant majority support for it. Like, it can't just be like barely over 50% to get it going. You need good universal support across all disciplines to get it going, and I don't see it from the talk that I've heard. I don't think it's right. I'm just like, yeah.
Is there any sort of education about what the benefits would be, or is it just like the knee-jerk, like society seems to have an anti-union bias because the administrations of our country for a long time have had the same?
Yeah, I think it's mostly the latter, but it's hard to educate people that have that knee-jerk reaction.
Oh yeah, totally.
To get them past those prejudices and opinions, when they just shut down at the thought of it to begin with. So,
right.
I think it's a long thing that will need to be worked on.
Well, and in the end, for me, like as a unionist, like my mom was in a union the entire time I grew up. I've been in a union since I got this job at the end of the last decade. Unions need to like grow organically. Like, you need to feel like it's going to benefit you. And if you don't, like, there's no point in like some external person like pushing it on you. You know, same thing with Amazon, right? Like, there are some external actors that are trying to like help unionize, and I think it's good to do the education, but you can't force someone into that, because the union's run by you. So if you're pushed into it and don't really believe it, then how are you going to fucking run it?
No, completely. So yeah, that has to happen. And I don't think there will ever be a video game industry wide union like SAG, Screen Actors Guild type stuff. But I could see it happening at big publishers eventually. Like, I'm surprised in some ways it hasn't happened at like Google or Microsoft or places like that have been around for a long time.
I am too, because in this conversation this week, I was like, surely Microsoft is unionized.
Nope.
No, I was wrong.
But well, let's be honest here. A lot of times the unionization comes out of like when a majority of people there feel like they're being used or exploited.
That's why we have our union at my college. It was
and I will say that a lot of people in tech don't feel like they're used and exploited.
Yeah.
They just don't. I mean, you're like, I'm already paid incredibly well. Especially if you're working in just straight tech. Like,
not video games.
Yeah, not video games. Video games, I'm paid well enough. I'm very, very happy with what I'm making and what I get to do. But if I wasn't in video games, I'd probably be making 2 to 2.5 times more than what I'm making now.
Right.
And you see it from people I know that work just Microsoft jobs that are just like working in Office or Azure, like actual tech. Mm-hmm. You're like, yeah. And so whenever you're like generally treated well and paid well, the little things don't stick out too much, and I think it puts people in the mindset of, well, why do I need to unionize? Like, things are fine. I may not love everything, but I'm getting a shit ton of money and a bunch of stock, so cool.
Yeah.
Because we are very individualistic like that, to our detriment.
Oh, we just went through a thing at our college where we were trying to convince our colleagues to do X thing. And, we had like 50+1% who were like, yeah, that's cool. That's, as you said earlier, not nearly enough.
Yeah.
And it was a proposal about the collective good of everybody, but everyone would have to give up a little bit of something. And that was not, no. Even within like this union that, I think is fairly well regarded. So even in that situation, and as you mentioned with Hollywood, like that benefits from like geographical like closed off a bit. Like it's in LA, and also like a perception that other people can't do what those people are doing in terms of the actors. Whereas with coding, I feel like people think I can just export that or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely a thing. So I think that's a long time. It's going to be a long time coming to get to that point. And I think more things will have to happen to get there. And I don't think it will be industry wide. It will be just specific companies may hit that point at some point in the future. But we'll see. It's kind of crazy. So
I'm sure this next week's going to get crazier.
Yeah. Is there anything else out of that Activision Blizzard thing that went crazy? Kodak, Cosby Room, bunch of Twitch streamers not streaming the games anymore. The Blizzard employees had their walkout on Wednesday of last week. I know a couple that walked out and were part of that. It definitely feels bad. I'm like, I wish they could protest longer in a lot of ways, but they also have to have their job right now. So
yeah.
It's kind of those damned if you do things where it's like, I know a lot of people that are there that would love to fight against this, but they can't as just easily say, well, I can just go get another job. Like, there are regional things where a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to move out of Southern California.
Right.
And while there's other video game companies around there, they couldn't absorb the number of people at like Activision or Blizzard. And you could go to Riot, but a lot of these people have no interest in going to Riot. And there's smaller companies, but I feel like a lot of them are just feel like they're stuck because it's like, well, I either am willing to move to wherever I need to in the US or I'm here, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. And it's just doubly unfortunate is that leadership knows that and takes advantage of it.
Yes, they do.
Either overtly or subconsciously, I guess.
Yeah. I hope leadership goes away. I'm in the same boat as you. I will not be picking up any Blizzard game going forward myself. So that makes me sad.
These fuckleheads in charge.
Makes me really sad because these assholes are keeping me from playing Diablo 2. But I can't in good conscience like buy anything from them at this point. So
yeah, because those same assholes allowed people to be fucking harassed like this,
Yeah.
Missing out on Diablo, like my favorite game of all time, dude. We all know this. You know this. It's one of your favorite games, of course.
Yep.
Like how much over the last 300 episodes we talked about like this being remastered and how awesome that would be, and just like I don't fucking no, dude. I cannot pay for that. I wouldn't play it if it were free. I don't want my numbers to be part of that when these fucking idiots are in charge. Like Brack and Kodak need to go before I feel like, all right, maybe there's something happening. But even then, that would, with all the names you listed earlier, like that's a lot of rot,
Yeah.
Like unless the shareholders revolt because they're back to where they were a year ago. But
I don't think it would happen in 1 year, but give it like what happens next year.
Yeah.
Another year of this. Does the stock go up or does it continue to go stagnate? And even if it stagnates, does it go down some? Like, then there will be true pressure to change leadership at that point from investors. But I think it's just going to be long and dragged out, unfortunately, which sucks. But like all of this stuff, it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I hopefully next week we don't have to talk about this anymore at the time being.
I hope so too, just because of how gross it feels. At the same time, I don't want the fire on Activision Blizzard to go out and them feel like they can pull a Ubisoft and be like, oh, we don't have to talk about this anymore. We're good.
Yeah.
We can continue to promote the people who did this shit.
Yeah.
Which is apparently what's happening at Ubisoft.
I'll be interested what WoW's subscription numbers come out as now.
Even without this, fucking Final Fantasy 14 is just destroying it.
They are, but there's definitely, I think this pushed a number of like long holdout streamers just completely away from the game.
Yeah.
And they're like, we were unhappy to begin with for a long time with WoW, and this is the straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing of being like, okay, I was unhappy with your game. Now I'm unhappy with your company, so fuck off. I'm done.
That's perfect. That's like a
yeah.
I was unhappy with your game. Now I'm happy with your company. Fuck off. God damn.
Yeah.
How about How about some happy shit? What have you been playing this week?
What have I been playing? I said screw it. I'm gonna try PoE again with a different build, and I love it much better. So,
oh really?
I'm wrecking shop with a new build. So, just switching to a different skill. I'm basically Captain American everything, throwing my shield, blowing things up, causing them to bleed and die, and then deal damage to things around them when they die. So
you found a good Avengers game. Oh my god.
I did actually. So I played a bunch of that, and then when I haven't been, which it's PoE, and I'm actually they didn't go back on their big changes that they did, but they did do a patch early-ish last week where they kind of tweaked some numbers again and more, especially mana costs on things, and everything felt smoother than it did. So the company is listening and making adjustments based on feedback, and have kind of put it back in a decent place. So that was been fun to just dig into a thing where I also think I was just mourning not playing Diablo 2 Resurrected, so I was just like, I need an action RPG. Let's see if I can make this work.
Yeah.
And I did, so that's cool. They're probably in a great state if this stuff with Blizzard keeps up, because Path of Exile 2 will be sometime next year.
Well, even now, like I was thinking right before you said that, or even last week when you were talking about it, like when I'm jonesing for this type of game in a month and a half when Diablo 2 is coming out and I'm seeing people talking about it, I can just play this because I've only just barely started.
Yeah.
And I know it's a good game, and I have a lot to discover with it.
Yeah, and there's a couple other on Steam that are, I think it's in Lost. I'm trying to think of the action RPGs on Steam there's one in early access that I've heard really good things about, but it's in early access, so I'm just like, I'll wait.
I can see the BuzzFeed article. The top 10 games to play if you're not buying Diablo 2 Resurrected.
That would not surprise me. And that will probably totally happen. Let's see. There's Path of Exile selling really well. Lost Ark is one of them. Are they? They're not out yet. They're kind of in beta. In December, they'll be out sometime this year. And it's a free-to-play action RPG. And Last Epoch, I believe, is the other one. Yeah, Last Epoch is the early access one. It's $35 in early access right now. They have like a whole roadmap that they're working on. I bet it will be out sometime next year in 1.0. But it looks really cool from an action RPG standpoint.
That's Lost Exile?
Last Epoch.
Wow, I fucked that name up badly.
Yes, you did.
Lost Epoch, all right.
And so that's one I'm also watching, that being like, okay, could be a lot of fun to kind of give you that action RPG itch. So it's not like the genre is only hidden behind Diablo 2 Resurrected and Diablo 4. So
right. Another game games. I'm not buying.
Yeah. At least that one's many years out, so change could happen before then, theoretically.
True.
But so yeah, that's been fun to play, and then I've been spending a lot of my extra time when not playing just having random like Netflix stuff on or movies, and then painting Warhammer figures.
Oh, nice.
Because it's very relaxing. And there's just a lot going on at work right now, and I have my hand in many pots, and so when I'm done with work, sometimes I just need complete chill out time. Like, I do not want to engage in any level of, like, I would say, analytical thinking whatsoever. So yeah, I got to paint some cool miniatures and painted some really fun ones that I'm really excited about. So
that's awesome.
Not that I'll ever play the game currently, because I'll never be able to go to Game Store again. Apparently.
Yeah, fuck, man. This Delta, man, it's like locking shit down.
Fuck.
People who are smart are locking themselves down, I should say.
Yeah. If you could see me, this would be my surprised face. Like,
oh my god, totally.
Of course we, saw this coming. Get vaccinated, everyone, please. Just, I don't want, like, the Zulu variant or something else now. Like,
right. Worried about the Delta, wait till the Gamma and the fucking Theta.
Can we just like, and don't get like the 1-shot vaccine. Go get the 2 shots that, while not still somewhat less effective compared to the Delta variant, still much more effective towards it than anything else. So, please, I want to be able to go out without a mask again at some point. I want to go to my game store and be able to sit in the cafe. Ugh.
So sad. My good friend here just got it.
Oh, god damn it.
And his young child too. So
oof.
Feeling particularly sad and fucking angry at fucking morons who think that the vaccine is putting 5G into their bodies when really the phone in their pocket already has tracking capabilities.
Yeah.
Fuck. You know, it's just like so dumb. I mean, not just dumb. Like, you know, World War II, 19-year-old kids sent to fucking France or wherever to get mowed down by fucking Nazis, sacrificing for their country, and people just can't get a vaccine that would help their country and their community. I know I'm talking to just preaching to the choir here, but I'm
what was the article furious. I read? I think Gibson retweeted it on Twitter. It was basically this same stuff happened around the polio vaccine.
Oh yeah,
a long time. It did, but the difference is that distrust towards the vaccine had nowhere to spread. Like, it couldn't spread easily. It was very contained into very small networks of people.
Right.
But now we have the internet, social media, where this message can spread to everyone. It's so, I'm just like, of course. Social media is a bad thing. Should never done it. It was a mistake. Let's just get rid of it. Maybe the internet's a mistake. I don't know.
I think the internet was a mistake. Although, you know, people can say, here's the positives, here's the negatives of
There's
anything,
a lot
really,
of positives to the internet, but
social media, are there positives?
Internet, I don't know. Sure. Social media, I could have been on Facebook seeing things about people I really don't care about, their opinions, posting things. We would never be friends in real life. I rarely talk to them ever in high school. So why the fuck am I caring about anything they say now?
You care about how high your friend number is.
Yeah. Basically.
Or your likes.
So, I don't know. I'm just like, God damn it. But maybe one day, after I will get to use all these painted miniatures and actually play with someone across the table with them.
I hope
roll some dice
for you.
That'd be great.
For me, what I've been playing, like always, is just games with my family. But again, more Ring Fit Adventures. I was going to call it Exercise Girl, because that's what my daughter calls it. Basically the times of day that I don't want to exercise are the times of day my daughter wants to play that game. So, like, get her up at 6:45, and she's like, "Can we do Exercise Girl?" I'm like, yes.
Great way to start your morning.
Huh?
Great way to start your morning.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, I guess, but I'm just waking up, baby. I haven't had my coffee yet. By the way, that the coffee maker that you suggested to me
the
at the beginning of the
AeroPress?
pandemic has been amazing. The AeroPress.
Perfect. I mean, if you're the only one drinking coffee in your house, it makes
am.
a great cup of coffee for one person.
Yep, it is beautiful. So playing Exercise Girl, and then my daughter wanted to play Animal Crossing earlier in the week, so we played a little bit, and we played, probably every couple of weeks, which is far different than last year where we were playing like every fucking day. But I need her to pick all the pumpkins and pick all the weeds and sell them to earn money to pay back the loan to clean up the island so we can get fucking KK Slider and just roll credits. No, she just wants to pick shit up and drop it, and pick new stuff up and drop it somewhere else. And she's picking up like items in her house, taking them outside, dropping them on the beach. So there's like a fucking sink on the beach, and and it's just like, I'm having so much trouble. Like, I want to organize this. So last night or the night before or whatever, we were watching something, baseball. So I loaded up Animal Crossing on my own for the first time in forever, and cleaned up the island, sold everything, organized everything, paid off my fucking loan. And then Tom Nook says, do you want to add an expansion to your house? It's only 400,000 bells. It's like, fuck no, I don't. I just got out of debt. I don't want to get into more debt. But I creeping along to finishing this game, like quote unquote finishing, rolling the credits with KK Slider. And it felt so good to just clean up the island. So that's what I spent my time doing.
Nice.
So that was great. And then, just Rocket League. Had a ton of fun. Started playing tournaments in Rocket League.
Oh boy.
It's fun, man. Every Thursday night, right when we start at 9:00, there's a tournament and then a second chance tournament. So we got to the quarterfinals. We were like really killing it. And I've suspected this issue, but it became really apparent this night. There's 5 of us really, who play, but usually it's just 4 of us who get on. So there's really only one mode to play with 4 people, and it's called Chaos Mode. And it's called Chaos Mode for a reason, because it's fucking chaotic. There are 8 cars on this tiny field, and you're just banging into each other. And for 3 of us, that's fine. For one person, that's a little frustrating for them about getting banged and hit or whatever, and it changes your gameplay so much. Whereas when we were playing 3, like, we all had our spots, we know what to do, we had space to do the shit we needed to do, and we weren't fucking up. But man, when you're playing 4 players, it's just like half the time you go to make a move and you run into someone else and you fuck something up, and it's hard to be precise with that many people.
I didn't even know they had modes above 3.
Yeah, just this one.
Okay.
I wish that they had. I mean, I don't think that they would have to make bigger fields.
Yeah.
And then that would change everything, really. I assume from the coding side, to make the fields bigger and stuff.
Well, maybe. Who knows? I don't know I have no clue how their levels are set up, but I wouldn't think so. But
if you look at my Steam, still fucking Team Fortress 2 is still the most hours with 385 or something like that. Still, after all these years, that is still the most.
Okay.
But Rocket League has crossed over 200 hours now.
Oh boy.
Oh man, something like super therapeutic about that game for me. I just I look forward to Thursdays. Feel free to join us if you want to one of these nights. Well, one of these.
No,
Thursdays.
It's cool. Where the competitiveness of that is therapeutic to you, it is absolutely the opposite to me. If I want relaxation or chill out, anything competitive is the last thing that I want to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe from your perspective it is competitive. I don't feel competitive, but then when I say that to my friends, they just laugh at me.
Yeah, pretty
I'm
much.
Super fucking competitive.
Yes, you are. You enjoy that stuff. I don't. Like, that's the thing. Like, and the thing is that probably where it pulls into me, like knowing myself and how I feel about it is I have a high level of anxiety for competitive things because I don't want to let the team down.
Oh.
Like, I put a lot of pressure on myself anytime I'm in anything competitive. And I've learned that I can't do that because it spikes my anxiety and stress. And I'm like, that's not what I want to do at night.
No, that's not
at all. That's the opposite.
Oh my God. I'm just laughing from 9:00 to midnight because I'm letting my team down constantly. Oh God. there was a oh man, it was like the best of. We've been doing this for a full year now, since last July, and it was like 2 months ago. My friend Kartik and I and Brad were all playing, for just three of us, and he caught the ball in his spikes, which is one of the abilities you can get in this like super powered mode, and he just drove it right into the goal. And he was so excited. I was like, man, that was such an awesome goal. Congratulations. And we were cheering each other on. And Brad was like, that was their goal. that wasn't our goal.
That was the wrong direction.
And we were like, no way. And he's like, did you see your name pop up when you scored? We're like, well, now that you mention it, no. Okay, watch the replay. Watch the replay. And he just own goaled.
He spiked it into his own goal.
It was beautiful. Oh, we still talk about it. We're that level, man. So yeah, all skill levels are welcome. Anyway, so that's been my week. Just those games,
nice.
those mainstays.
I was looking. You were mentioning Animal Crossing. It is now sold 32.63 million copies.
Damn, dude.
Second highest.
Is that above Mario Kart 8 Deluxe now? Or
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is at 35.39.
Damn.
It's coming for it, though. But I still can't believe how much Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold. Like, that's an insane amount.
It's every person who didn't have a Wii U, obviously. Or maybe most, not every person. But then I feel like every person who had a Wii U, that was the best fucking game on Wii U. Yes, I'm going to buy it for the Switch. That was the first game I bought, I think. No, Breath of the Wild was.
And I feel like word of mouth has helped it in that regard of being like, this is the like best Mario Kart. Like, get this thing.
So why don't they put out another 4-track DLC?
I don't know, because they've moved on.
Wouldn't that make them millions of dollars?
Teams moved on. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. They're on Mario Kart 9 now or whatever.
Yeah, potentially. And then Smash Brothers. So that's the thing. Those two, Mario Kart and Animal Crossing, have crossed the 30 million line. The rest of the tops, there's 6, are all in the 20 mil, like the low 20 millions. And it's Smash Brothers Ultimate at 23, almost 24 million, Breath of the Wild at 22 million, Pokemon Sword and Shield at 21, and Mario Odyssey at just about 21 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then another huge drop to Super Mario Party at 14 million, almost.
God,
15.
how is that in the top 10?
I don't know. It's Mario has in the title.
Guess.
Got it. There's there's a lot of casual people who will just buy Mario. Like, it's a Nintendo property, they're gonna buy it. I don't know. I just look at this and I'm just like, oh my god, like, it's insane. The top 10 is all first party Nintendo.
Oh yeah, you buy a Switch for that shit, man.
Yeah. Monster Hunter Rise, though, it's the best-selling non-Nintendo game on there.
Really?
7 million copies.
How much?
7 million.
Wow. So it's number 1 third party.
Yep.
And it's been out for less than a year.
Yep.
Wow.
It's done really well for them. So, yeah. So I just thought that was a nice little factoid for you playing Animal Crossing, of just being like, yeah, that game still continues to sell and sell a lot.
Yeah, and they say they have more updates coming. They just did the update. Oh, fuck, what's in it? Something. Fireworks or something?
Yeah. Eggplant stuff?
Eggplant?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought maybe.
I looked at the notes and I forgot. I just need KK. I need to get there and I can feel like I did it. We're done. Although we'll keep playing. My daughter will keep playing. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing is going to wrest Paper Mario from the top spot in her mind. That's like her favorite game.
Nothing wrong with that.
Man, it's so good. If you never played the original ones and don't care that it veered off from where it was, it's so good.
Yeah, I should, at some point.
Dude, contentedly moving through the second playthrough, and then we will then start another one.
I'm sure.
Unless Wind Waker comes on Switch, and then we're dropping it like a bad habit, and we're playing fucking Wind Waker.
Maybe.
God, please, God. If there was a God, put. You know what? If there's a God, fire Bobby Kotick and Jalen.
Yes. I think that's higher importance, I think, right now.
Exactly. Then maybe think about some of these other little things, like Wind Waker on Switch.
Yeah.
Anyway, This was episode 301 of Prof and Dev Play Games. He is the dev at SummerSpeak on Twitter. I am the professor at Prof Plays Games on Twitter. Next week, we're going to talk about something happy because there will be something. I don't know. I was going to say Horizon Zero Dawn, but no, that got delayed. I guess maybe not officially yet. Nintendo something will be happening at some point. Direct. I'm sure there's always some direct on the horizon.
Yeah, I doubt it's going to be next week. Seems a little early, but
yeah,
it's been a little bit since we've had one, so I would expect one this month or next month.
We have one more Smash character, so they've got to let us know at some point what that is.
Exactly.
I can't imagine the pressure of ending it. Like, it's got to be a Nintendo property, right?
Sakurai.
Oh my god, that would be the best.
It needs to be.
Oh my god.
Then he can retire.
Perfect. And not a me version, like a real,
real version.
Oh my god, if it's anything other than Sakurai now, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yep. And that's where I leave this episode.
Perfect. Mic drop. All right. If you love us, tell your friends, rate us on your podcast service of choice, and come back next week. We'll see you then.
All right. Later, everyone.